This is Getting Past It, where real life meets real growth. I'm JR, and in 10 minutes or less, we're tackling thoughts, habits, and truths that hold us back. Let's get past it together.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Getting Past It, the podcast. It's episode 21, Tough Truth Tuesday, and today we are going to be talking about they won't always apologize. How to heal without closure. Sometimes people just aren't going to say sorry. They might not see how whatever they did impacted you, or they might not care, right? But we still have to heal. You still have to heal. You got to go through it anyway. Because the cost of waiting for closure is robbing you of your peace. It keeps you tethered to whatever that hurt might be, to whoever may have hurt you, right? Because you continue to play that story over and over and over. And every day that you delay your healing, you give away some of your power because you allow that thing to fester and rot versus working to get past it, working to heal, right? And so sometimes we have to understand the difference between the forgiveness and the reconciliation. The forgiveness is an internal choice. That's for you, that's for me, that's for peace. To be able to let that thing go. Just because you forgive doesn't mean you forget. You're not dwelling on it. You don't harbor any ill will, any hard feelings. You've gotten past it. You've moved on from that thing. Reconciliation, on the other hand, requires trust, effort, a number of different things, but it also requires a willingness from both sides, right? So from you and the other individual that may have caused the hurt. And they may not feel that they owe you that. They may not want to reconcile, and you may not want to reconcile. And maybe their purpose in your life has run its course. And so there may not be a need for reconciliation, but you can still forgive and maintain boundaries. You might not even you don't even need to have contact with that person, right? You just don't harbor any. It's not sitting on your soul. You've let it go. You've released it. You've forgiven the transgression. You've moved forward. Give yourself permission to heal. You don't need somebody else's permission to dig into the hurt and to work towards the healing. Because once you start to do the work for yourself to heal from whatever that hurt might be, you get to rewrite the narrative. You get to change the story for yourself. And what I mean by that is, instead of saying, this person ruined my life, this person caused this, now you can say, from that experience, I learned this and how to avoid or identify certain situations that I need to remove myself from, certain people that I need to get away from or remove myself from being around. There's a lesson in that, right? And you can rewrite that narrative because it helps with your growth. You've grown from the experience once you've healed. So now your narrative is a positive reflection on how you grew through what you went through. Healing is a personal thing. And like we talked about in the last episode, when you start to heal, you go back and you find what the root is. But also those different stages of healing and understanding that it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take some time. You're going to experience different emotions as you go through that process. You might cry, you might feel angry, all of those things as you go through that. But as you're learning and you're thinking and reflecting, you start to see the lessons that are there and how you can grow from that. Maybe some things that you missed along the way that had you identified or been paying attention to, You might have avoided some of the hurt. You might identify some blind spots that you have. Maybe, as you're reflecting and you're going back through and you're working on the healing process, you start to identify a pattern. And maybe it's a pattern within yourself that you have to go back and fix, right? Have to go back and change how you think about that thing or how you address certain things, because you start to find your triggers. You start to find the things that get your blood boiling, that make you feel sad, that make you feel hurt, make you feel abandoned. And as you go back and you think about those things, you can identify in a lot of cases where that first started and how do I get past it? How do I move forward? Don't let someone else's silence delay your growth. Like we talked about, healing is a personal choice. And a lot of times we wait for another person to, man, I'm not saying nothing to John until he come apologize to me. Now you walking around, you're letting that thing build up inside of you. You're building different narratives in your head that might not be the best. And that is delaying your growth. That is delaying your evolution. That is delaying you getting past whatever that thing might be. I've always tried to maintain control of my emotions, my environment. And then a lot of times, when you take a step back, you realize, nope, I'm not. And I have to be way more intentional. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. It's another thing to really step back and think about the hurt and start to work through the pain so that you can heal. And not just giving the word salad, but actually doing the work and sitting with those emotions and working yourself through them and seeing how you can course correct in order to be better for you. Because remember, this is no longer about them. This is now about you. Who you want to be, how you want to feel, the peace you want to have. And you have to heal to get there. And there is work to be done for you to get to that space. A lot of times we do a whole bunch of different things to keep ourselves from having to focus on that healing journey. But if you want to get better, if you want to be better, if you want to do better, you got to heal. You got to think about those things that you're holding on to that you need to let go. Those things that you need to release in order for you to be your best self. How do you stop having those knee-jerk reactions or those spouts of anger or fits of rage or the anxiety or the depression or the sadness? What things have you identified when you're going through those situations? Is there a common denominator? Is there a common trigger? Have you done the work to identify where you need to grow, where you need to change, and where you need to be better? I want you to take some time and think about that. It's Tough Truth Tuesday. It's Getting Past It, the podcast. I'm your host, JR. I thank you for spending a few minutes with me today, and I hope something in this episode spoke to you. I hope you continue to join me. Please subscribe, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I hope to see you on Fueled Up Friday. Again, I'm your host, JR. It's Getting Past It, the podcast. Peace.